Something inside me that pulls beneath the surface, consuming, confusing. This lack of self-control I fear is never ending, controlling. I can't seem to find myself again. My walls are closing in.
Without a sense of confidence, I'm convinced that there's just too much pressure to take.
I felt this way before, so insecure. So upon me, distracting, reacting. Against my will I stand beside my own reflection. It's haunting how I can't seem to find myself again.
So I want to kind of talk about what I did there by doing the 545 for a single before my top set of 5 on deficit deadlifts. The reason why I do that is because of something called post-activation potentiation, which basically is the principle that if you do a weight that's like slightly above your working weight, like 5 to 10% above it, you're going to have some sort of potentiation effect of your nervous system where you'll be able to move the weight a little bit better. I'm sure lots of you guys have had the experience of putting on a weight and like the first set doesn't feel that good, but then the second set feels better. And that's just because you probably haven't worked your nervous system enough. But doing like a very conservative single before it, your working weights, it also helps kind of gauge your readiness for the day. So for example, if 545 felt super heavy, I probably would have scratched my initial idea of 515 to 5, because that moves exactly how I want it to. I was like, okay, cool, I'm good for this. I also know that my actual set is going to move really, really well. It gives me a lot more confidence going into that set as opposed to just going into it and like being like, I hope that this is right. So a lot of it is like confidence and whatnot too. So I would recommend that in your warm-up sets, it's difficult to do this if you're doing like a working weight above like, you know, like RPE 8, let's say you're doing like 1 to 3 reps, but if you're doing like volume, you know, like 4 to like 6 reps or something like that, I recommend doing that just because it shouldn't be that maximal. Like I think 545 on conventional is like 85 to 90% of my max, which is like RPE like 5 to 7, depending on the day. So feel pretty good. So yeah, and then I did also want to talk about like why I'm doing conventional deadlifts. Am I switching? So it's not exactly sure. My coach and I are experimenting right now with doing one block post meet where I'm only doing conventional deadlift because my hips were kind of starting to hurt. And I just find that typically after a really good cycle of conventional, I tend to do really well with sumo and vice versa. And because I have a very high starting hip position on sumo deadlift, it makes a lot of sense for me to, you know, train conventional deadlift hard in addition to my sumo. There's a lot of transference between the two lists if you're a sumo puller. For conventional deadlift, it's probably not as much of a difference, but you know, all the context matters. You know, if you have a very efficient sumo pull, it's not very, you know, similar to a conventional style of pull, then probably won't benefit you as much. But if you have similar leverages and whatnot to conventional and you kind of pull sumo kind of with higher hips, like I do, you'll probably get a lot of transference. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Right, so I just got home and was doing some client work and just had a meal. But I wanted to kind of talk to you guys, kind of like walking around here about what I've been doing with my diet, my nutrition for the past 2 weeks. Well, kind of, I guess, like what my long-term plan is. So coming off of my meat, my appetite was like really, really low. My weight had got up to 185.4 at the very heaviest. And so I've been massing since my last meet, which was on March 6th, and I competed on June 5th. And so, you know, I just kind of realized, you know, I'm really not that hungry right now. You know, it kind of makes a little sense because I've been massing for 3 months at this point to do a little bit of a diet, or at least a maintenance phase where I'm not going to be gaining any weight. And for me, it made a lot of sense to do a mini cut because I'm still planning on competing in the 82.5 kg weight class. And I want to be able to make that water cut a little bit easier and not like have to like kill myself doing it. So decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to do a little bit of an aggressive mini cut for the next 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how things are going, how I'm feeling, give myself some room to eat and get a little bit more excited for training again. And something that I kind of was noticing that was kind of interesting was like, so first off, I'm down 5.4 pounds in 2 weeks. I hit 180 flat yesterday, and I'm definitely feeling it. I feel very hungry. I feel very, very tired. I'm starting to feel some side effects of just an aggressive cut that are kind of expected. You know, I get a little bit lightheaded, like in like some of my sets. I think I need to start increasing my sodium a little bit to help out with that, since I am drinking more water to help fill myself up and make myself feel a little bit more full. So and that's something that I'm starting to do. But back to the main point, what I'm noticing is that like my waist is like way smaller right now, and like my performance is actually a little bit better in terms of how I feel, how I can move on squats and on deadlifts in particular. And this is something that I think is really important with powerlifting and with really gaining weight in general, but more so for performance athletes, is that when you're losing weight or you're gaining weight, more so when you're gaining weight, you don't want to do it so fast or get to the point where your leverages are being compromised to where you can't brace against your belt how you want to. You can't, you know, depth feels different on squat. Like everything just starts to like change really fast, because a huge part of strength is just your performance. How you're able to how well you're able to perform in the gym, how you can move the way that you want to. And so I've kind of realized, hey, I feel a lot better in general, like in terms of being able to move when I am a little bit lighter. I guess when I know my waist is smaller than it is, so you know, than it was when I was massing. So yeah, that's essentially like why I'm doing a mini cut. Pretty aggressive, about 1,000 calorie deficit. And so, you know, I feel every single bit of that, but it's a short-term thing. And so, and, you know, something that really helps me is thinking like, I'm not gonna be dieting forever, you know, just deal with it forever right now. You know, there's going to be time to eat in the future, and you can have like more delicious foods and whatnot. Something that I do to really help deal with hunger in mini cuts is, one, to make sure I'm drinking enough water, and then two, I don't really season my food. I just kind of eat plain food, like, you know, like plain rice cakes, plain oats, plain eggs. And that's just because of something called the food palatability reward hypothesis. And basically, the more delicious foods that you eat, the more you're going to want to keep eating them. And you're going to be a little bit less in tune with your internal hunger signals. So that's something that's kind of really good to just pay attention to, because sometimes people are just trying to like eat, you know, really delicious foods all the time on a cut, and that doesn't really work out very well for them. So I found that, you know, eating more plain foods, you know, it might suck a little bit at first, you know, you might really miss eating, but like you'll probably find, hey, this diet isn't as hard as it once was, you know, or as hard as I was expecting, because I am not eating things that taste the best all the time. Usually after about like 2 or 3 weeks, your palate kind of adjusts to it, and you just don't really notice it. Like now it's just normal. I'm so hungry that like plain potatoes taste great anyway. So that's essentially where I'm at. So I'm planning on continuing my diet for another 2 weeks, and then I'll probably go back up to maintenance calories, and slowly just have a very small surplus, about 200 calories going into my next meet, and then hopefully take this national world record deadlift. And then yeah, and then I'll probably start doing some more sumo in next block, and then probably train both conventional and sumo. I find that there's a lot of transference between the two. For sumo pullers, not so much. Like sumo doesn't really I don't find it really complements like conventional pullers as much. But I think that training both stances is probably a smart choice for long-term strength development, especially if you're a sumo puller. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be switching yet. That will be TBD. But conventional is feeling great right now. Usually I find that conventional feels really good after a really strong sumo cycle, and I was training sumo exclusively for the past 11 weeks. So hopefully this helps transfer over to my sumo. And as the meet approaches and I get a little bit more familiar with both movements, I can make a choice. But yeah, I think I'm gonna close out the video here. Hopefully you guys got some value from like what I'm kind of doing right now. I'm gonna probably try to include some more content with Quinn in the future. But yeah, kind of just me, an update. So anyways, hope you guys liked it. If you guys did like the video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you guys are interested in coaching or programs, just shoot me a DM or links down below. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.